So one of the zones at the highest level of the game is Malgrave. The Malgrave is, we use the Malgrave in one of our adventures, which is, that's all. It's a adventure is kind of like a dungeon, but it's like a choose your own adventure dungeon. So it's interesting. It's 5-man content. But Malgrave is a zone in the game where you're out here. There's definitely kind of a Wild West vibe to the zone. It's a lot of fun, but the area we're in specifically is what we refer to in the game as a PCP, which is just a post-cap play space. When you get to level 50, you will be breadcrumbed here, and then you can pretty much do what you want. We have public events, 20-man bosses. There's a lot of content here. What we're doing now, we are playing a Mordesh Exile Medic with artifact gear. It's pretty much the pinnacle of what you're going to get in the game. And we're going to actually kind of just run through the space. The idea being that you'll come in here when you get the cap. There's plenty of different places to go and things to do. You can come in here group, you can come in here solo. There's path content that actually interacts with the public event. So each path has different ways to help move the public event forward. As you can see on the right-hand side, the public event is listed out. Critical Containment is the name of the public event. We're trying to gather and deposit resources for your faction's expedition. And then once you do, you're actually it's kind of like a race against time. You're actually playing against the other faction to see who can get it first. And then whoever gets it first actually gets a benefit towards the end when you actually fight this big boss that you actually go inside an Elden facility to fight. Also, the Elden facility has a certain randomization of bosses, so sometimes you'll get this boss, sometimes you get that boss, which items are involved with it as well. So you can play this as, you can come here, you play this, there's dailies here, there's a lot of content to do at Cap, and PCPs are the way we get a lot of the stuff into the hands of the solo player. So right here is one of his soldier add-ons to, Explorer, I'm sorry. I thought soldier was the old thing. So the Explorer, so right there is an Explorer interactable that Paul can use to traverse the area better. You're collecting supplies, so you find these hidden caches throughout the area as an Explorer. Soldiers get different ways. Soldiers have to kill things. They have to find these bosses and kill them to get their things. As you can see, it kind of floats above his head, so he knows he's got something and run it back. That's another one of those red shaded bosses. I'd steer clear of that. Or you could try to fight it, but you'll most likely die, since these creatures are, there you go. Use the environmental hazard to fight the public event boss. You are stunned. We have all these very interesting combat mechanics where, you were stunned and you have to kind of figure out which way you're going to get out. We have blind, which actually kind of covers up the whole screen. We did a lot of very interesting things with CC. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, this is just a world boss. This isn't technically the boss of the public event. These world bosses are scattered throughout the area. You can see there's what also scattered throughout the area is these environmental hazards. We got plants that will try to spike you and kill you. We have the fire plants, the Fiera bushes that kind of spit fire out at you. You just killed Paul just killed like a sub boss, just kind of a high level boss in the area. But that also actually helps propel the public event forward. So you're actually kind of, you're incented to group together. You don't have to, but if you're in a group of people, you can take down the boss pretty easy and actually move your side's goal forward.
A settler would be able to build a depot here so you could turn your things in faster.
Right. So, like I said, every path has a different style of interaction to move this public event forward. And when you're grouped up together, you're finding these things faster. The soldier kills things for these. The scientist scans things to make these supplies pop out. The explorer finds them in these little caches scattered throughout the zone, but the settler also gets the ability to build, because that's what settlers do. The settler path actually gets to build a receptacle so your team can deposit these things faster out in the field, which means your side will get done faster, which means you get a better chance at the boss at the end. Okay, well, we've run back, and we're going to deposit this supply, and then, like, again, this is a giant public event. There'll be tons of people doing this. You could do it solo, but there'll be lots of people here, so people will be dumping stuff in here, and then once you've finished this part of the event, the entire event moves across the zone. Hey, can you pull up the map real fast, Paul? So you've started, you're down at Fiera Bluff, that's the first stage, and you're actually moving across the map through Camp Hellrose to end at Containment Facility R12. The other faction starts on the other side of the map and actually moves through this. So it's almost half of the zone is built around this giant public event, which is, again, built for Cap players. We've now advanced the public event in Malgrave, and we're actually going to move on to the next area. So grab a taxi, take you to the next area, drops you off, and you can continue forward. Or you can mount up and ride yourself, whichever you'd like to do. At least this way it gives us a nice overview of the zone. Like I said, half of the zone is based on this public event for cap-level players, but the other half of the zone has lower level content. So you'll see some players interacting with each other that might be in the, I think, low 40s. And this is the one where you're killing the creatures for the for their energy. Okay. Oh yeah, 25 seconds. Gives you enough time to get across the map so you can actually get to the next stage. Because again, it's a pretty giant map. Half a zone based on one giant public event. Yeah, we rely pretty heavily on public events to support like this giant group content. It also allows us to do alternate things. In a dungeon, we can put a public event underneath the combat, so not only are you going through to kill bosses, but you also have these optional objectives which give you better loot, so it's an interesting marriage between the way quests normally operate and public events normally are used in games. So what you end up doing is you end up killing these bigger creatures that have these energy, the easy way to explain it is energy balls. You grab these energy balls, take them to these receptacles, power up this generator, and then it actually activates a portal that takes you into this underground Elven facility, and that's where you fight a random boss. And again, whoever, I believe the point is you've beaten the other team, you've actually got there. They can also get there as well, but they don't get, whichever faction that actually gets there first gets first crack at the boss. The other ones can finish it, but you get first crack at the boss if you win. So players, in this next phase, players come here and you're actually battling these giant monsters to gain their energy. You take their energy, you put them in these receptacles, and what's going to end up happening is when you win, it opens a portal that allows you first crack at this big boss. Receptacle this, and then, okay. So now we've actually powered up the generator, and now we're going to get first shot at this big boss in this Elden facility. Again, this is content. We tried to do a lot of content for cap level players. We know how important it is to actually keep players entertained. You know, it's about value. We want to make sure the players have plenty to do at cap as much as they had for the hundreds of hours they're going to play through the regular leveling content. So after powering the generator, we get to use the teleporter and go and get first crack at the boss inside. Your faction gets first crack. Yeah. So pretty much all the content once you get in here is 20-man content. You can go through all the solo content outside. You can definitely help if you don't want a group, it's fine. But in here, it's definitely 20-man boss content. And one of the interesting things here, you're going through this area looking for nano circuitry to help repair. The idea behind this entire containment facility is that it's going critical. It's going to blow half of Malgrave off the map if you don't actually shut down this reactor. So you're going through finding stuff to actually shut down the reactor now that you're inside. It's filled with Elden constructs. And then there's this environmental hazards you see up on the left-hand side. We have environmental hazards throughout the game. We feel like it gives it a little bit more of a, a little impetus to keep moving. Here, if you're not standing in one of the player-operated, again, paths are important. Paths, different kinds of paths are able to spawn different kinds of like water spouts, things that will lower the heat exposure bar, and if it lowers the heat exposure bar, then you can survive. If nobody does any of this stuff, you'll burn up. So Paul is going through the area actually turning on the Explorer cooler vent. So players will huddle in these places to try to stay alive. But the interesting part about that is I watched this fight like 20 times. People will all huddle in the areas and then pull all the monsters to the area. So everyone's in there barely trying to stay alive, and then it's super funny. Especially when you fight the boss. You gotta literally moving from place to place and make sure the path people are activating their stuff.
Double kill. Triple kill. You die!
So here we finally got to the end. There's several different bosses that can be here. This is a giant augmented Osen, so you're fighting him, and we'll most likely lose pretty poorly since this is a 20-man boss fight. So as you can see, Paul, once you get over to the water spout area, so these little areas that so you end up getting, people end up cramming in here, and then this guy just devastates the area. So I've seen pretty interesting boss fights here. And then once you kill him, you actually take all the nanotech that your team has accumulated, go inside the reactor, and actually shut it down. And there's kind of a 3-dimensional jump puzzle associated with that as well.